Dr. Andy Mencia has just arrived. It's funny. You talk about mental capacity, and it's like when you came in, I just felt better, even though, of course, I'm still trying to get over this laryngitis, but he was so sweet. He walks in, he gives me this wonderful hot water. He's just such a caring physician. If only you could just clone everyone to be that way.
Hot water is good for you.
And I know it is. It's very good for me.
It's very good for you.
When Dr. Mencia came in, we always discuss what is he going to be talking about this morning, and he said he was going to talk about Alzheimer's. And I was glad he was talking about that because I have found that everybody, Dr. Mencia, just uses the word Alzheimer's like they use Frigidaire.
Exactly.
Everything's a Frigidaire. It might be different, maybe this one and that one, but I think it's so wrong. So can you help people understand that?
Right. The main reason I got inspired on the topic is because I saw a very affluent patient that the family wanted for me to do a second opinion. And the patient was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease, and all of the medication that they were using on him for agitation were producing a reverse or an opposite effect of what the neurologist and the primary care physician was expecting. And then they took him to a psychiatry and the same thing. As a matter of fact, he was even hospitalized in the psych unit, thinking that he was, having psychological problems and maybe becoming schizophrenic, which doesn't happen in the elderly. Usually those are things that happen early in life. And they gave him all kind of medication, and nothing was working. But he left the hospital as a zombie. And that's when the family brought the patient to me to do a consultation. When I did just the assessment and reviewed the record from other doctors and what have you without ordering the first test yet, I said, well, I don't think your father has Alzheimer's disease. He has a condition called Korsakoff dementia. And
wait. How do you say Korsakoff?
Korsakoff. And Korsakoff dementia is also known as alcohol-induced dementia. And alcohol-induced dementia is very prominent, and you see it frequently in people that have a tendency of drinking heavily and not taking supplements such as folic acid and replacing their vitamin B12, etc. So a person can develop dementia and not necessarily Alzheimer, which was one of your questions before we went on the air. You can develop dementia from a viral infection that goes into the brain. And some of the dementia can be easily distinguished by talking to the patient and talking to the family. When you develop dementia, because a lot of people say dementia is Alzheimer and Alzheimer is dementia. Dementia is the big umbrella. And then under that umbrella, you have all the different subtypes of dementia. And alcohol-induced dementia is one of them, very commonly seen in developed country. And Alzheimer's dementia is also very common. So that's why people equate Alzheimer's dementia with dementia.
All right. Now, so this man that came in, you said alcohol-induced, so he was not necessarily an alcoholic,
no,
but
he was an alcoholic.
He was an alcoholic.
Yeah.
He didn't just enjoy having a couple of glasses of wine.
No.
Okay. So
that's
then
me.
That's me. Okay. That's good. Okay, but wait. So now you're adding medication, which is now going to have
Exactly. Because all the alcohol, when we drink alcohol, remember, it's going to go through the liver just like any other medication. It have to be processed. So if a person drinks alcohol and take medication, the alcohol and the pills you are taking will go through the liver and have to be processed. And not only that, in the liver, imagine if you only have 3 doors and you are sending 300 people. There are only 3 doors to go through for those 300 people. So some people are going to have to wait back there to come in.
I love the way you explain things. That's the funniest thing I ever heard, but it's true. That's brilliant.
I learned to explain things like that because teaching Taekwondo to kids for so many years, you have to explain to them certain virtues and principles, but you have to break it down so that the kids can absorb it. So when you talking to a kid about discipline, about perseverance, indomitable spirit, when you are trying to bring those concepts and pass it on to the next generation, you have to break it down so they understand it. So
you do that.
I use that in medicine. So when I talk to my patient, I don't want to be talking up here, and they have no idea what I'm talking about. I try to break it down for them so that they can understand what we're saying.
Fantastic that you shared this. It's the first time of all the discussions on Alzheimer's have I ever heard this. So now someone could be. All right, so it's not a matter of just taking a couple of drinks a day. You're talking about someone who's already an alcoholic.
Who is an alcoholic.
And now, did he really have Alzheimer's? He didn't have it. What did he have?
He just have alcohol-induced dementia. And I noticed they have not done a certain vitamin level on him. So the son, who is very much into holistic approach, he said, can you give me a list of some food that would be good for me and for my father, for both of us to take, and vitamins and so on. So we did a profile of vitamin that I do on my patient when they come in. And now, mind you, for those of you that come in not because you're having Alzheimer's disease, everyone that steps through my office, because I believe in preventive care, everyone that goes through my office, any blood test that I know that can be done to screen the patient to prevent Alzheimer from coming. I do it on all of my patients. And then if I see a deficiency in folic acid, if I see a deficiency in B12, it is easier to treat those deficiencies now than to treat it 10, 15 years from now when you have Alzheimer, because now the treatment is not only going to be more expensive, your quality of life is going to decrease significantly.
Okay, but now this patient who is an alcoholic, there's nothing you can do about that at this point. I gather he's...
No, yeah.
How old is the person? 70s? 80s?
No, 69.
Oh, really? So this is a young man.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
Young guy.
At my age, that's a young man. Okay.
He's a young guy.
He's a young
kid,
guy.
69 years old.
Oh, so are you going to work on that also?
Well, absolutely. The son, I spoke with the son, and the first thing I say, no alcohol at the home.
Whoa.
Okay, absolutely no alcohol. And it's going to be a
cold turkey, huh?
It's going to be a cold turkey process because, the thing with the brain, you have to save it. You cannot slowly save the brain. You either save the brain or, it's like being half pregnant or all the way pregnant. If we're going to save it, we have to go all the way, especially at this point that he was doing a lot of things that were not proper, and it was not useful of him. He was giving money away. He was buying things. He was having girlfriends.
Well, that's okay.
Well, no.
Well, the girlfriend's all right.
When you have a girlfriend that you met today and you buy
a diamond ring,
a coin collection.
Okay, all right. That's I know. I thought he was just going to have some fun with her. Okay, let's. I agree with you.
So, with...
we always get into sex somehow on our shows.
Somehow. It's part of life.
Okay.
Yeah.
We haven't
sex,
talked about
constipation, and good appetite.
Amazing. People say to me, "Oh, are you the one that talks to that sex doctor?" Okay, well, let's talk seriously. Let's get back to so you're going to help him,
right? And this apply, the vitamin apply for the Alzheimer patient as well as some of the other type of dementia. Most of the dementia will be helped and even prevent if we start taking vitamins and nutrients. And the way I try to break it down to people, if you have the gene for diabetes, right? If you eat a load of sweet every day, that gene is going to wake up and you are going to become an overt diabetic. But you can remain for the rest of your life a covert, I mean a hidden diabetic. by eating properly and by never pushing your pancreas to become diabetic. So if we take that principle and apply it to the brain, if you have the genes for Alzheimer's disease and you do the right thing, you do not smoke and you don't drink alcohol heavily, and you take all your vitamins and you get your vitamin level checked, that's very important. It is so unfortunate that people out there say, well, I heard acai is good for me, so I'm going to start drinking acai. And I heard folic acid is good, so I'm going to start taking folic acid. And I heard Dr. Mencia talk about B12, so I'm going to buy a B12 supplement and start taking it. Well, your intestine from mouth to anus is about a football field long. Only 4 to 6 inches of the football field length is able to absorb certain vitamins. For example, B12 get absorbed by about 4 inches of the long intestine of a football field length. And if you are unable to absorb B12, guess what? You can spend all your money buying all the B12 you want, and it's going to go straight through into the toilet because your body is unable to absorb it. So you have to find other route of taking B12. And how can you know that? By making sure that your doctor is checking your vitamin levels. And if I tell my patient, if I see a deficiency, I say try to take B12 supplement, and in 2 months we're going to recheck your level. If we say that the levels remain the same or it got worse, that means that person is not absorbing. I'm not going to tell the person keep taking B12. It's a waste of your time and your money. Let's go for other route like injection or sublingual to make sure that the B12. And of course, if you do the injection, that's the gold standard. Everybody that get B12 injection, the level will go up no matter what because you're bypassing now the guts. So vitamin levels are important. That we take B12, we take folic acid. Another part that is very important for memory is making sure that the thyroid gets checked. If your thyroid is hypoactive or sluggish, that means you need thyroid hormone to help you supplement. Now remember, the thyroid gland that is in the base of your neck in the front, that gland is responsible for metabolism in your body. So if that gland is not working, that's why when you go for acupuncture and acupressure, they analyze your thyroid and they try to help you wake up the thyroid to make sure that it's producing to a maximum. But when we have done all of that and it's not helping you, then we can go with either natural thyroid supplement or a prescription thyroid supplement. The other portion of Alzheimer that is important is depression. A person can be depressed, and if they go to take a test for Alzheimer, they're going to flunk because the person are so depressed that you ask them what's today's date, and they are so down that they might not remember. They didn't look at the newspaper, they didn't look at anything to remind them what's the date. And if you ask them who is the president or where do you live, they might give you some of the answer, but they don't have the energy to think. But they are not demented; they just don't have that energy to make the brain connect all the neurons to come up with the right answer. But the right answer is in there.
You are so. I know you're smart, but I'm thinking back on my mother when you were saying that, and she told everybody she wasn't depressed, she was happy, but there was a psychiatrist who was my friend, and I just had him come over, and he wasn't treating her as a patient, and he took her to the side, and she did tell him secretly she was depressed. Isn't that funny? And she knew it, but she wouldn't tell anybody else. People don't want to say they're depressed, are they? Do they?
Exactly.
They won't say. And
it.
If a patient comes into you, how do you know they're depressed? Is it their eyes or is it their...
Well, the demeanor, you see the patient making eye contact with you. If you joke with a patient, and I usually tell my patient, do you have a joke for me today? So we both can laugh. If you joke with a patient and the patient doesn't smile, and when they are talking to you, they are very slow in producing a sentence. Their voice tend to decrease. They are very monotone, so their pitch won't go up and down. They are very monotone when they are speaking. And then you start asking about the key symptoms that the patient can have. For example, are you sleeping well at night? Have you lost your appetite? Are you still able and willing to do the thing that you like to do? Go bicycle riding, go for a walk, play cards. And I say, well, no, I love to play cards, but I just don't feel like doing it anymore. And how long this been going on? And usually they all give you time. They say, since my husband passed away, I stopped doing that. But you ask them, well, why? Are you depressed? No, I just don't want to be with friends and stuff. I just want to be by myself. And we try to come up with answers so we can live with the depression.
So that's my question. How can you help someone not be depressed? Is it through vitamins, or what is it? Just by you, their doctor saying blah, 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 or how do you do that?
That's a great question. In my practice, in my philosophy of practicing medicine, I try not to run to a pill first. I want to know, you're going to a synagogue. Do you have a good support system? Are you going to church? Do you have a good support system there? Okay, if so, let's work through that system so that we can continue to help you deal with the process that you lost a loved one. And have the patient then little by little reintroduce some of the activity that they used to, and we start with the one that are least threatening to the person. Like, you don't want the person to go in front of a large group and speak to 300 people, 30 people. Just one-on-one. Pick your best friend and start working with one person at a time to help them reconnect with the outside world. And in the process, we tell them, if you at any point you feel like hurting yourself, then I'm here for you. I'm your friend. I will never judge you for thinking, for those thoughts coming into you. So we're going to work through those things also. And I've been blessed, as you know, in the practice by having a psychologist. A psychologist cannot prescribe a medication. They can talk to you. They can help you deal with your behavioral problem, but they won't prescribe anything. So having a psychologist in the practice, then that helped me also. If the person tells me, well, Dr. Mencia, but I was depressed 20 or 25 years ago, and they gave me Zoloft, and that got me out of the depression, then those people, they tend to do better returning to those medications they used to take in the past. If they have taken medication and that medication didn't work for them, you try to stay off from those medications. But basically working with them and going through the process, and this is funny because when I'm lecturing to other doctors, to primary care physicians, I ask them, I say, well, if you have a patient with a blood pressure of 200/120, that's very high. When would you see that patient back? In 3 months? In 6 months? Or, oh no, Dr. Mencia, I'll see the patient the next day or in 2 days or in a week at least. I say, what about a very depressed patient? When will you see that patient? Oh no, I won't see. I just send them to a psychiatrist. I say, run. That patient probably trusts you more than that stranger you're going to send that person to. So it's better for you to start working with that patient. And I tell my patient, I say, you're going to start this medication, and I'm going to see you in 2 days or 3 days or a week. And the medication might not be working yet, but the fact that they have an appointment coming up in 48 hours, they look forward to that appointment.
Dr. Mencia, it is so wonderful to hear you speak about things that I, in a personal way, thinking about my mother, and they did give her some very, very strong medication, and nobody ever checked. And it took me, after 2 or 3 weeks, watching my mother and saying, something's not right. Now, and then I had to go and call, and then, so what you're saying is beautiful, that once you give someone some medication for depression or for Alzheimer's, they have to be watched. There has to be someone there because you see, the caregivers don't really know. We don't know what we're supposed to be seeing.
Exactly. And usually I work with elder care, senior helpers, and with senior helper, usually when they can have a companion, we try to put a companion in there, covered by their insurance. Some people don't even know if they have a veteran insurance, if you are the spouse of a veteran. The government still have thousands of dollars they can give you. Like if you live with your spouse, you can get over $2,000 a month for a companion. If you are the spouse of a companion.
Your spouse of a veteran.
Of a veteran, I'm sorry.
The veterans you're right.
You still qualify, and you can still get that help. So there are many things out there that we, in the practice, having the psychologist and then having the social component of medical care, we put those things together to help the patient live through the depression. And if they have Alzheimer's disease or one of this type of dementia, we have to make plans for the future, because a lot of people think that if you have Alzheimer's disease, this is it, that the kids have to step in, they have to make all the decisions for you, and that is not true. When you are diagnosed with early Alzheimer's disease, you might not be able to make a complex decision, but you are able to decide if you want chocolate or vanilla ice cream. You are able to decide if you want John or David to be your surrogate moving forward. So you can choose who's going to decide for you when you get to the point that you are unable to make decisions. And that's very important, because we see patients that have Alzheimer's disease. And when the disease is very advanced, they have not chosen who's in charge, and then you see all the kids fighting each other because they all want to be in charge. And usually when they come to me, I say, well, you guys sit among yourselves and you have to pick up a leader. There's one person that is going to be the contact person, and that person is responsible of communicating to everybody else, and then you communicate with a different doctor, including me.
Dr. Mencia, I have been doing this a long time, and I've known a lot of doctors, and I have to say, most doctors, I don't know of another doctor that would get so involved with somebody in their family the way you do. It is so I admire you so much. I wish I had something I could hang around your neck right now and say, best doctor in the world. But,
Thank you.
But no, I mean that's what we all dream of.
Thank
and
you.
we don't have someone that does that. Because you see, as a physician, people respect what your opinion would be, and you're probably the only person that a family would say, okay, he's right. Otherwise, even lawyers, it doesn't work the same, because especially if it's been a patient of yours and you know them, right, and you can say so much about them. Say, your mother would never want this to be happening. And it's wonderful that you're like this. So, and just in closing with our Alzheimer's, so if someone comes to you, you do have a neurologist on your staff also.
Exactly.
And would that neurologist then do the testing, and then it moves through then to you? How does it work?
Usually it's up to the patient. I have patients that they would refuse to see the neurologist. And remember, in my practice, they don't have to see all the specialists. Myself as the primary care doctor, as the geriatrician, I'm the advocate for my patient. So if my patient say, look, I do not want to see the neurologist, I want you to do the workup for me, then, everything on my capacity, then I will work with my patient. If the patient is willing to work with the neurologist, then we'll go to the neurologist and have the neurologist be part of the team in the care of the patient.
Okay, well that's
usually by the time they go to the neurologist, right, they have already have all the workup on the patient. This is on senior helpers. The survival of the spouse get at $1,094. The single veteran get $1,700. and a married veteran get $2,020. And that's money that is there for them that they don't even know, and they say, "Oh, do I have to buy long-term insurance? Do I have to do this? Do I have to do that?" A lot of time, what I do, I hook them up with senior helpers so that they can work together and find where they have other resource of. So they don't, you don't want people that have been saving. You and I, we are saving for retirement. And when you get there, the last thing that you want is misuse your money.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, we have a new advertiser, at least he's been advertising, a lawyer, who's going to have a seminar, and he's down in the plantation area, on veterans benefits. Because you're right, it's not well known. All the veterans benefits, and I'm thrilled that the veterans are getting these benefits, but people have to know, and I'm glad that you, as a physician, help them, and I know the organization, Senior Helpers, they're very nice people.
Being a veteran myself,
so you can appreciate this.
I can appreciate
you
that.
Never told me. That's another day. You're going to have to tell me about.
I told you about being a pilot.
No,
being a veteran.
Yeah, but you didn't tell me. What service were you in?
U.S. Army.
The U.S. Army, of course, you knew that Bill flew B-17s.
Right.
35 missions. So, I didn't know that. We'll have to have a big conversation with that.
We have a
that's great. Well, I can see you. Were you in the medical corps when you were in there? Or did you? You were. Mm-hmm. So you were already. You must have had some gory stories to tell about that. But you were what, in the Vietnam? Vietnam.
Post-Vietnam, just
post-Vietnam. Wow. See, your stories never stop. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I want to thank you very much for sharing what you did on the Alzheimer's. That's a very important issue this morning.
Absolutely.
There have big conferences going to be taking place, and we need to cure Alzheimer's. We really do, because we're all going to be affected otherwise. That is correct. And just like diabetes, just remember, those are genes that we have in the brain, and if we do the right thing, they do not have to wake up. And if they do, maybe wake up too late. Yeah, that's just what you said. So everyone, please go to Dr. Mencia's office. We have to give him the phone number, of course, and that's 954-489-1345. 954-489-1345. If you or a family member has been diagnosed with Alzheimer's or a form of dementia, go to Dr. Mencia and have a second opinion and make sure that it's maybe medication that could be causing it, or it could be a lack of certain vitamins, or maybe it really is Alzheimer's, and maybe there are things that he could do that other people aren't. We don't know. There's never guarantees, but...
And if you have a loved one, if you have a grandfather or a father that had been diagnosed with some form of memory problem, then you also want to get checked, because preventive is the way to go. You don't want to be taking medication. If it's something we can prevent, let's prevent it.
Absolutely.
And not treat it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. We've done it again, Dr. Mencia. But Saturday morning,
you
can go.
The rain.
Yes, we stopped the rain, but people can go see you. You're open on Saturday?
We are
Saturday
open
morning?
on Saturday, yes.
Saturday morning, you want to go over there, not Saturday morning, the whole day. Dr. Mencia is an amazing man. Imagine this doctor is there every day, now including Saturday, because their patient load is great, and they want to make sure everyone gets their time with Dr. Mencia. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, we're going to go to a break, and then we're going to hear of a stunning author who is our book of the month for June.